So you raise the importance of measurement there, of getting timely and accurate measures of indicators of what's happening in the economy. But before joining the bank, you were already interested in measurement. You'd worked in a variety of very important areas in economics, made important contributions. But throughout this, you seem to have developed and focused on improving measurement. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey and getting to understand the importance of economic measurement?
I guess the best way of thinking about it, Kevin, is to just go back and ask, what is it that economists do? And the majority of people who've studied economics think that it's shifting these tedious curves back and forth, but you can pass an exam because the question's all going to be, did the curve shift to the left and did the curve shift to the right? And that's the wrong way of thinking about economics. Economics is really systems thinking. That's what economics brings to the table. So if, for example, the Australian government puts on a tariff on imported goods, big issue, of course, in Australia in the 50s, 60s, 70s, puts on the tariff, takes off the tariff, what are the consequences going to be? What's going to happen to the Australian car industry if you take off all the tariffs? What's going to happen to the agricultural industry? Key part of Australian life. If you put on tariffs, take off tariffs and all that kind of thing. So economists are very good, I think, about thinking of the systems, about thinking of possible unintended and undesirable consequences and all of that. So how does that relate to measurement? If economists are going to tell you something about the system and the effect of tariffs and the effect on this sector and that sector, the economists had better develop a coherent system of measurement which actually reflects the system which they're talking about. And hence the point about GDP is not to pass some tedious exam question, adding up this and adding up that. The point about GDP is to design an economic measure which fits in with the system which the economists are trying to analyse, namely the agricultural community sells to the supermarket then sells to the final consumers, and you go through all the various stages of production. So I think having some interest in the measurement comes from trying to get over to people, especially in the policy community, about how it is that we economists think about the system as a whole.
In terms of future research directions in economic measurement, where do you think, let's say a prospective PhD student is watching this and they're looking for a research topic, what sort of areas would you recommend that they explore?
Well, I think the future, certainly from a technology point of view, is going to be around some of the issues that we've talked about. AI, for example. Working from home is a sort of slightly more pedestrian example. But working from home is going to be tied up with the technology around communications technologies and our ability to live stream things and communicate in various ways. So I think a PhD student looking for a sort of subject of the future, it's that fusion of the technology with the measurement, with the economic systems analysis, which I think is going to be a helpful way to go. And there's one other area which we haven't discussed at all, which of course is health, an enormous issue in the UK, an enormous issue in Australia as well. Finding some better way of treating our elderly people, finding some better way of, people who get ill and so forth, monitoring what they're doing and all of that. You'd imagine that the opportunities for the use of new technology, especially communications technology, would be enormous around all of that. So all of that is kind of a rich area, it seems to me, for future work.
Thanks very much, Jonathan. That's been really interesting. I hope you continue to do more interesting, exciting work on intangibles and anything else you turn your mind to. You've made so many great contributions that have really helped us with our understanding of the economy and what's driving or not productivity growth. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Kevin.